Janice Jackson.
Good morning, everybody. Now, you got to loosen up. I know I'm standing between you and the most important part of this ceremony where we get a chance to receive our graduates, but I'm going to ask that you open your minds and your hearts for the message that I want to give you today. So we're going to start this again. Good morning, class of 2021. I have to say this, you all look good with a T on the end. I'm so happy to be here today and so humbled as President Scott was doing her opening remarks and reminding us that this is the first in-person graduation. I thought back to 1999 when I was graduating from this university in the wintertime. And I remember thinking about how special that was and how much of an honor it was that the institution cared enough to make sure that graduates were acknowledged throughout the year. So I want to give a special shout out to you, not only for persevering during the pandemic, but also finishing strong at the end of this crazy year. So let's give our graduates a big round of applause. Yes. I also know that none of us will be here today without the village of support that raised us up and made sure that all of the barriers were removed in order for you to be here today. And I know that some of you had to remove some of those barriers on your own, but let us not forget that we stand on the shoulders of many people that have come before us. So let's give a round of applause to the parents, the grandparents, brothers, sisters, spouses, everyone that played a role in your being here today. Also want to thank the amazing board of directors at Chicago State University. Many are leaders here in the city, and the fact that they give their time and energy and talent to making sure that CSU stays on the map is something that as an alumni, I'm incredibly proud of. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the remarkable leadership of this university and President Z. Scott, who's been leading Chicago State since 2018. You all have to give her a round of applause. I want you to know why. And this theme has come up today, and it'll resonate throughout the day, that you need to be proud to be Chicago State graduates. When I look across this room and see the people who are graduating today, we see traditional graduates, people that transition from high school to post-secondary, but I see a lot of returning graduates. I actually saw somebody who was here when I was a student who came back to finish, proving that it's never too late to get the job done. But President Scott has really helped to put CSU back on the map and really highlight the excellence that is Chicago State University. And I, as a friend and as a graduate of this university, I will be forever grateful for her leadership to this great university. As a graduate, it's an honor to be here today. I'm a big believer in the notion that representation matters. We need to see people who look like us, and I think that that's important. But we also need to see people who understand us. We also need to see people who understand the struggles and the things that we overcome to be here today. And I don't know you, but I know each and every one of you have a story where you have been able to overcome so much. I think representation matters because when I stand here today, having had the opportunity to lead the third largest school district, I don't stand here to brag on that. I stand here to show you what's possible. Because I know that we all walk into spaces and feel that imposter syndrome sometimes. You think you're not supposed to be there. I'm here to tell you that you are supposed to be there, and the best advice I can give you about that is I walk in every room like I'm supposed to be there, and you should do the same thing. I want to lift up the graduates again for graduating during a time that is even more challenging than what I experienced as a student growing up here in Chicago. It's no secret that there is violence in our street, and it's at an all-time high. I would also add that it's more publicized because of social media and the 24-hour news cycle, which makes it even more important that we celebrate things like this, that we celebrate Black excellence, and that we make sure people understand that we are more than the images that the media projects on us. We know that good jobs are not plentiful. We know that people lack trust in institutions and government and the media in ways that they didn't decades ago. We know that we live in a society, despite the progress, that's still plagued with racism, sexism, homophobia, and poverty. It all takes a toll on us. But you are here and you made it in the middle of the biggest pandemic and public health crisis that this world has ever seen. You finished strong, and for that, you need to be celebrated. Celebrate. I know y'all gonna celebrate when we leave. Celebrate here. Some of y'all been celebrating since before you got here. We're not going to talk about that. You're not survivors, you're thrivers. You are brave, you are invincible, and you are the future. You should be proud of who you are. You should be proud to be a CSU Cougar. Despite the litany of woes that I just reeled off and those that many of you know all too well, there is so much to be excited for in this city. It hurts in many ways. People talk about the tale of two cities. You don't have to tell people like us. We've known that since we stepped foot on this earth. But the education that you receive today truly is a ticket. It is a key to a better life for you, your families, and your communities. And that's what I want to talk about today, because nobody really talks about the burden that some of us feel, especially if you're the first in your family to graduate. You have a burden that goes beyond what you have to do every single day for your jobs. You have family members who look up to you. You have communities who expect more from you. And you have to stand in that leadership role. But understand that the education that you've been given, it is an opportunity. It protects you. It protects you when there is economic upheaval, because just like my father used to tell me, it's something that nobody could ever take away from you. That's something that has never left me, and which is why I'm such a proud educator. I also want you to know that you should celebrate your prosperity. You should celebrate your accomplishments. You should have good things, have stylish clothes, travel, do all those things, but you have to pay it forward. That's a part of your obligation. Using your power to empower others makes them as fortunate as you. Using your drive and ambition to motivate others gives people a reason to aspire. You don't even know the people that you're inspiring every single day just by showing up and being you and being great. Wear that with a badge of honor and bring more people along so we can move away from this place where we're the first to do something. We need more people. We need to make this the norm in our communities, and you have the power to do that. In my own life, I've seen that power. I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the Auburn-Gresham community. I was one of 5 children. 4 of my siblings went to school, so I went to college. I tell my parents you have an 80% graduation rate for first-generation black kids. That's a pretty distinguished honor. What I learned then, though, is that it requires a lot to go from, as I've said to people, 79th Street to the C-suite. And I don't speak of my family often, but I want to share with you some of the reasons why this work is extremely personal to me. It is about seeing my parents strive for the American dream and pushing my brothers and sisters to go and get a high-quality education and telling us you can be anything that you want to be. And once you get an education, nobody can take it away from you. And everything that they said was true. Despite doing everything right, there was a life-changing moment for me and my family. I lost my brother, who was a victim of gun violence due to a robbery. His death was a crushing blow to my family. And in a lot of families, incidents like this can really change the trajectory and throw people off. And it hurt, and it did for a while, but it also made us even stronger and closer, like so many of you in this room can probably relate to. And because of that, it made me even more committed and double down on the work that needs to happen, because I'm a big believer that talent is everywhere. I walk in rooms with people who I know I grew up with people way smarter than them. They just didn't have the opportunities. I look at the kids and the violence that's being committed, and I know that if the right person intervened or the right opportunity showed up, that the students would make a different decision. And so it's with that I lead with passion and vigor every single day. But it's also there's also another lesson that I want to give you, which is know your values. When I used to interview people for jobs, I still do this in case you ever come before me in an interview, I always like to ask people, what are your values? I ask them that for a number of reasons. First, I want to see if they know what their core values are. You would be surprised how many people can't tell you what they are. And then I also look to see, which most people do, if you actually live those core values. One core value that I have is around integrity. It means everything to me. And when I took on the role of becoming the leader of Chicago Public Schools, I actually thought of a quote that resonated with me since high school, and it's from Hamlet the play. And Polonius said it. He said, "To thine own self be true." You've heard that before in a variety of ways. It is a quote that I live by. It's actually a screensaver on my phone, and I haven't changed it for over 8 years. And I share that story with you because I've been in tough roles where sometimes it's hard to be yourself. It's hard to be yourself when you see images every single day, fake images on Instagram or fake images about you on Twitter, or the images that we create about ourselves in our mind. And so it's really core and important to know what those values are and to live them every single day. But being in a tough job where your integrity is questioned and challenged every single day, it was an anchor for me to make sure that I made my family, more specifically my mother and my father and my community, proud. I have to tell you, that was an important job. This is not in my script, but I feel called to tell you. When I first took the job as Chief Education Officer, my mama said, don't take that job, they all go to jail. Now, that's not true. They don't all go to jail. Then she said they all get fired, and I said, Mom, I might get fired, but I definitely know I'm not going to jail. But I share that because sometimes we get held back by fear, scared to step into that space, but things will not change if people like us don't step into those spaces and lead. And so as President Scott mentioned in her remarks, I'm now the CEO of an amazing program called Hope Chicago, which is a 2-generation scholarship program. And I want to share this today in case we can motivate any of the people that are here in the crowd or even some of our graduates who are in front of us today. This scholarship program is unlike any other. First, we're making sure that students graduate debt-free. We don't have a GPA requirement. We're meeting people where they are. If you finish high school and you get in a 2-year or 4-year program, we got your back. We're also giving parents an opportunity to go back. And while I know that every parent won't take us up on that offer, I know that there are some people in this room and people across this city that put their dreams on hold to make sure that your children were okay, to make sure that you were okay. And now we're offering you an opportunity to get back in the game. At Hope, our goal is to touch over 24,000 CPS students in the next 10 years and send another 6,000 to 8,000 parents back to school. So please spread the word about Hope Chicago, because as we all know, for some of us, that's all we have. And when we lose hope, we're in trouble. And so leading this organization was the best thing that I thought I could do with my time and talent to give back to the city that has done so much for me. We need smart and savvy people like you from different racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic backgrounds leading in our city. We need people who have defined themselves in different ways and disrupted the notion of what it means to be a man, a woman, a black person, white, Indian, whatever your background is. We need you as the artists, the future thinkers, mathematicians, chemists, truck drivers, community leaders. All of us play a critical role in making this city a place where we're proud to live and feel safe to live. This city reflects all of us. It's not about one person sitting in one seat. All of us make Chicago great. We all have the power to improve our city. And so for me, I really wanted to leave you today with the gratitude, but more important, the optimism. That's what we have. That's all we have right now. There's so many reasons to be down. There's so many reasons to be pessimistic. But if leaders like the ones in this room talk about what's possible, instill hope, I believe that the future can be bright for the children in this city. So I want to close by congratulating all of you on all that you have accomplished today and all that I know you will accomplish in the coming years. I call upon you to join me in this role of leadership in this great city to make it better, because representation does matter. I want to thank you for the change that you will create for young people, things that you haven't even thought about yet, but that are in your heart and in your mind and will make our city better. And as I said earlier, we need graduates like you to lead. I cannot wait to see where you take this great city. Thank you for listening today.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Please give Dr. Jackson another round of applause. Conferral of the doctoral